Okay, so let's finish Genesis chapter 37. So I would encourage you, if you didn't see the first one, to tune into the first part so that you're caught up. So we see here that starting in chapter 12 verse 12 of chapter 37, we see that Joseph's brothers, out of this hatred and jealousy we talked about in the first video, plot to kill Joseph. And it was amplified. This feeling was amplified because of Joseph's dreams that he kind of, being young and dumb, decided to share with his brothers that already hated him. So we see then that Joseph's brother Reuben tries this attempt to save Joseph by telling them to drop him in this empty pit, because Reuben's intent is to go back and save him. And this pit had nothing in it, no food, no water, anything. So Joseph's other brothers, who were led by Judah, then decide that they're just going to sell him to Ishmaelite traders, which in this specific spot also calls the Midianites. So the slave price that they gave Joseph, I found this very interesting, that they devalued Joseph so much that they didn't even sell him for a full price of a slave. They sold him for 2/3 the price of what a normal slave would be. So they didn't even value him enough to sell him for the full price. They just wanted to get rid of him. And so this kind of propelled Joseph further into his purpose, but he didn't know this yet. But I bet it felt like the end for him. At this point, Reuben wasn't with the rest of his brothers when Joseph was sold. So when he returned and found out what happened, it says he tore his clothes in despair. Tearing their clothing was a sign of very intense grief in the Bible. So Reuben was grieved that he couldn't protect Joseph completely. So at this point, we only see that he's the only brother with any kind of remorse for what they did do or what they were going to do. And thankfully, they chose selling him rather than killing him because of what happens later. The brothers go back to Jacob and they use lies and deceit, just like Jacob did with Esau. They even used a goat. So we know Jacob used the hair of a goat to deceive his father, Isaac, into giving him the blessing. And right here, Joseph's brothers use the blood of a goat all over Joseph's coat of many colors to make it look like he was killed by a wild animal. So there's something with goats right here in this family. So at this time, then Jacob mourned, thinking that his favorite son was dead. His other children were unable to comfort him when they tried. So it shows sons and daughters. So like I said, there's daughters. We only hear about one daughter in this family, but it says it's plural. So I don't know how many children Jacob actually had, because it only really talks about the 12 sons and one daughter. So in the commentary I use, the Tony Evans Bible commentary, it says on here that it notes that depression and grief affects the whole family. So Jacob couldn't be consoled, and so that had to have affected his wives, his children, everybody around him. So something to think about. So Joseph ends up in the house of Potiphar, who is an officer of Pharaoh's, and he's launched into this next chapter of his purpose, which in the future is going to be to save his family line. He gets to be used by God to save the line of Abraham, to save Israel. So, this shows that God can take anything we go through and use it for good. Our toughest trials bring us the closest to God and give us exactly what we need: strength, courage, peace, wisdom to fulfill our purpose in Him. So, I hope this is inspiring to you that no matter what we go through, even when the ones we love the most can hurt us the most, God will use it for good, and God uses it to fulfill His purpose for us. God bless.